a spin-off of Sophia the First, Elena of Avalor, not Elena. What sort of idiot would pronounce it Elena when it's clearly, obviously, Elena? Like Elena, where Elena, by the way, Elena did Elena's, giving Elena, actually Elena's cousin, Elena. I don't know what your guys' problem is, I'm just here trying to watch some Elena of Avalor over here. Elena of Avalor is a series created by Craig Gerber, same guy who did Sophia the First, shocker, airing on Disney Channel and then eventually moved to Disney Junior. Elena is a big deal. I still have to fight to not say the wrong version. Elena of Avalor is a big deal because this is Disney's first Latina princess. I'm sorry, Asha from Wish. I may be pronouncing your name wrong too. Maybe my ears just deceive me all the time. But sorry, Asha from Wish, you were not the first. Regardless of how hard Disney tried gaslighting us into thinking that you were the first Latina princess. It was actually Elena. Oh no, we said Afro-Latina. I don't care. Make a good movie next time and then maybe I'll give a shit. I know distinctions like this are important, but it's only important if people bothered to go see your movie. You're cool, Mirabelle. You're fine. You're still not the first Latina princess. You're not even a princess, actually. But you're still cool. Your movie was awesome. I know I covered this movie in my review of Sophia the First, but I gotta do it again since this is technically the first episode. Not episode 1. They like having a movie special be the first, episode. We see Elena coming home after 41 years of being stuck in a magic amulet. Let's do a flashback.
The truth is, I would still be trapped in that amulet today if it wasn't for a brave young princess named Sophia.
Hey, I know Sophia. So there's this gilf named Shariki that did some bad magic stuff, but turns out it was all a magic vision. Now we're in a different show. This is Sophia. If you don't know who Sophia is, I don't know what to tell you. I did a whole video on this one. Sophia, being 40 years in the future after the events of Shariki doing evil bad magic stuff, gets a special old guy to tell her about what happened in Avalor. On her 15th birthday, she got the Amulet of Avalor, which isn't important. Shariki attacked because that's just what bad bitches do sometimes, and the magic amulet did the good old switcheroo by putting Elena into the amulet to save her. And this old book dude brought the amulet to Sophia so that Sophia could do some cool hero stuff. Now Sophia needs to go to Avalor and do some protagonist stuff and save Elena so she can have her own show. Sophia's real magic power is being able to convince her parents to do whatever she wants, oftentimes through singing. So they're all going to Avalor.
The palace was built centuries ago. It's a little busy, if you ask me.
Oh, let me guess. You like the clean look, don't you? Well, she may be rich, powerful, and pretty, but none of those account for taste.
And this is my throne room. I spend most of my time here.
Oh, you mean like a ruler? Like what you're supposed to do? Because that's your job? Yeah, these are Jacquins. They'll be important now, all right? Right now, actually. Sophia asks them, specifically the orange plucky one, to bring her to the book wizard's house. The book wizard being Alakazar. I realized I never actually said his name.
What do you mean?
She outlawed music.
I guess she's just not a fan of Disney Junior shows. Not liking musicals? Now that's how you know someone is evil. Sophia gets to the house, and Mateo, Alakazar's grandson, is practicing magic illegally, and brings Sophia to a hidden room underground to help her out. Does Sophia's parents know where she is? I don't think they do.
We're going to summon my grandpa's Chanul, a spirit animal. It's like a guide to all the magical stuff in the world that we can't see.
Oh, we have those here too. We just call them demons and burn people if they summon them, though. The Chanul tells Sophia she needs Shariki's wand and do a magic ritual to bring Elena out of the amulet. Stealing the magic wand was a lot easier than we thought it would be. Magic ritual time on ancient statues with impeccable build quality. Like, seriously, how do these ancient ruins stay not so ruined? And, oh look, it worked. Elena is freed. Time for revenge.
You've already risked so much for me. This is something I have to do alone.
Yeah, time for Elena to be the main character.
We've got to help her. Let's go.
Yeah, it's not her show yet. You're still the protagonist. Turns out her parents are stuck inside an object also. Seems to be a family tradition.
And speaking of family, you haven't said hello to your cousin, Esteban. You may still be 16, but Esteban grew up.
Shariki, use Bitch Slap. Wow, it was super effective. I can't get over how she just completely threw away the element of surprise. Oh, sorry, everyone. Aw, man. It's my vaping habit calling again to interrupt my life. If only I had a non-addictive alternative that could satisfy the feeling when I'm trying to quit. Gasp! Is that Fume, the naturally flavored air device that doesn't require batteries and is also a third of the cost of what I would spend otherwise on my bad habit? Now when I go to parties and my friends pressure me into smoking, I can take out Fume. That way I can participate and not engage in my bad habit. The best part is it can also be used as a fidget. Fume's flavored air isn't like vaping. This is more like the tea to your soda, in flavors like crisp mint, orange vanilla, and a whole lot more, oh my goodness. And this way you don't need to go cold turkey. Whenever you need something in your mouth, now you can try Fume. This holiday season, you can give Fume to your friend in need. Head to tryfume.com/negativelegend and use code negativelegend, and you'll get a free Fume topper when you order the Journey Pack. You might even win Fume's limited edition gold-plated device. You can click the link below or use the QR code on screen now.
But Elena's your cousin, Esteban.
And her grandparents raised me like a son, and I think about what happened to them every day, so I do not need you to remind me, Armando.
Turns out Mateo's mom has the spell that can get Elena's parents out of the painting. They sneak in, Mateo does magic spell that frees Elena's family. That was wrapped up pretty quick. Now we can say being freed from magic objects is a family tradition. Nothing unites the people more than a common enemy, and I guess having a hope for the return of the princess too. But like, come on, how come there's only 3 guards? Like, is that really all she's got? How did you take over the kingdom if Shariki has like 3 spells? Is she really all that powerful? Clearly not when Esteban can just grab the wand out of her hand, and breaking it means she's got no powers whatsoever. And the lesson here is the real power is the mobs of angry villagers we made along the way. Oh no, she went from being a gilf to just a guh. She may look like she's next to death, but that doesn't mean she's dead yet. Now a 16-year-old is queen. I mean, a princess ruler, because she's not as marketable as a queen. More TV shows should have movie pilots. You know? Elena, Sophia, Rapunzel, that was another one for Tangled. Yeah, we had a lot of good shows coming out of Disney Channel around this time, you know? Or Disney, I guess. Just, wow. But that's not the end of Elena's story. I mean, just look at the play bar below me. There's still a lot of time in this video. But frankly, this really felt like Sophia's movie way more than Elena's movie. Wait, I mean, it should be since it's a spinoff of Sophia the First, but when it's also the pilot for Elena's series, it should be, I feel like it should be 50-50, and it really didn't feel like 50-50. But they did do a great job at establishing Elena and all the main characters. Most of the main characters. Okay, like 2 of the main characters. So in my book, mission successful. What's hilarious to me is that they summarize the events of the movie, but cut out Sophia. Everything Sophia did is just not present. They frame it as if Elena did everything, which I guess I understand. They would prefer if this show could stand on its own without needing to ride on Sophia's shadow. That one spirit animal, Zuzo, that was in the movie for 1 second just to progress the plot. Well, Elena can see him because now she's magical because of amulet plot reasons. She was seeping in magical juice for so long. It's always easier to sell a kid's show if there's a lovable or obnoxious animal companion.
She'll be queen.
You're not becoming queen tonight. Discovered that you are too young to become queen.
Technically, you're still 16.
Oh my goodness! A government with a brain? I wonder what that's like. Oh no, a tall, handsome royal guard, and she's a teenager, which is prime romantic tension age for kids. Hey, remember that girl that Elena was talking to in the intro of the movie? This is how they met. Naomi is the daughter of a ship trader, and Isabel, Elena's sister, kind of went missing on a stolen ship. Great way for them to become fast friends, and Mateo is now essentially Cedric from Sophia the First, except he's not fake evil. He's not even real evil. He's just a goofball for the main trio. Elena appoints her royal council and gets a fancy scepter that glows for some reason.
It's never glowed like that before.
Ah, geez. They just can't stay away from writing and magical artifacts, can they?
I I thought King Toshi was coming tomorrow.
Oh, he left a day early. I wanted Elena to be unprepared for King Toshi's visit, so I could show off my expertise. He will entrust me to make the trade agreement, and it will be clear to everyone who is the real power behind the throne.
Wait, what? Esteban is the bad guy? Really? I thought he was a changed man. I, being the idiot that I am, actually believed him when he talked about how much he values and misses his family. Whatever happened to Familia? You know, that thing they always talk about in literally every single, show/movie that heavily focuses on Latin cultures. Like, why is that? How important is Familia to you guys? Because all the shows I've seen, you guys make it seem like it's like the most important thing ever. Like, I feel like this is changing Esteban's character. Back on track. I feel like this is changing Esteban's character. Isabel, on the other hand, is more of a secondary character that's just cool. She's an inventor super genius, mostly used for the sake of teaching Elena a lesson about family. This show incorporates magical creatures far more than Sophia the First. I mean, it's the forefront of a lot of episodes, and I love it. I feel like Sophia the First was lacking in this front, and when it was incorporated, it almost felt shoehorned. Or, you know, was a second thought.
I have a pretty good idea why Taroka's so angry.
Then I'm coming with you.
You are?
Because you're my best friend.
You've been friends for 3 episodes. Either a lot of time has passed, or you don't have a lot of friends. Of course, we incorporate the Fountain of Youth. I'd be shocked if we... Wow, he's like Latino Gaston. And thank goodness Esteban isn't entirely a bad guy. I'm starting to get Uncharted vibes from this episode. Man, I miss those games.
Are you sure Mateo is royal wizard material? He seems a little young.
People weren't practicing magic for 40 years. I think he's the only one who can be the royal wizard. I love how they approach Mateo and Elena. Both are young, too young, and are learning to fit into their role, except Elena has the spunk and chutzpah to tackle her problems, while Mateo kind of has imposter syndrome and lacks the self-confidence. So, they have the same problem, but with different mentalities when approaching it. Ah, of course. There has to be another evil sorcerer. When are we gonna bring back Shariki? Here we see an episode where Mateo has to be in the limelight.
My mom told me the story. Fierro was in line to become royal wizard, but the king appointed my grandfather instead. Fierro ran off to become a Malvago, vowing revenge.
Like a telenovela for kids. After solving a bunch of riddles, they uncover Alcazar's wizard workshop, one of many, actually, and there's the Codex Maru with level 20 spells. This episode is really just giving Mateo an ego boost that's sorely needed. Gabe, being a massive jerk, keeps belittling him, but when he knows he needs to set aside his doubt and do something, he shows everyone that he can actually get the job done. And through improbable odds, he manages to defeat the Malvago. Because this isn't about memorization, but implementation. And he utilizes each person's strengths to get the job done, like a good leader. And now Mateo can not only be recognized as the royal wizard, but he can recognize himself as the royal wizard. Elena was like a testing ground for Disney to see if diversification could be profitable, because Elena came out on Disney Channel, because a lot of people tend to think of it as a show or movie doesn't have a white lead character, that it'll perform poorly because white people are the majority in America, when that just isn't all that true anymore. It's slowly becoming like closer to 50-50 white to non-white as time goes on. And Elena really proved that not only does having someone of color or someone from a different cultural background is important for kids to feel seen, but is also just a smart move business-wise, since America specifically isn't so predominantly white anymore, or the scales have been tipped enough that we need to reframe how we approach movies and TV. And Elena proved to Disney that it was the right move to diversify their stories and take inspiration from different cultures, some of them being more successful than others. You still have the problem of needing the art to truly be art and not just be cherry-picking different aspects of what they think will be profitable, but that's a problem in every movie. I hear a lot of people talk about how they're making movies diverse just because they think it'll sell, when really it doesn't matter who the lead is or like what culture it's really pulling from. What matters is that it's a good story and not a cash grab. We live in a time where we've become very anti-art. AI art being, the major red flag for this. Hollywood making sequel after sequel instead of risking anything new is also another one. Animation proving that it can be massively successful if they treat it as an art form, but for some reason producers and suits can't see it as anything other than that one thing for kids. Media is very much controlled by a business mindset now, and not an artistic mindset. And these people that run these big media businesses need to understand that it'll be really profitable if it's truly a work of art. Elena's lessons largely focus on accountability. A ruler being in a great position to deliver these kinds of lessons, and it feels so much more mature than Sophia the First. I understand why they felt it was appropriate to put this on Disney Channel. It still has the setup of a formulaic kid show, but it brings more real conflict that is applicable at any age, and for that, this is a show that is very impressive.
No. You are doing it all wrong.
You heard what Professor Mendoza said?
Yes, but I took an archaeology class as part of my royal training. So if you want to see what's behind that wall anytime soon, you'll hand over your pick.
Like here, we're really delivering lessons about 1, classism. Esteban thinks he's better than Naomi because he's a royal and doesn't trust her to do the job right. And 2, workplace disparity between men and women. How often women need to prove themselves more than men just because they're a woman. It's not always obvious, but there's often a lot of subtext in this show, and it's still somehow appropriate for kids. Esteban altogether is just a vessel for, I don't want to say toxic masculinity because I feel like that's overused, but I think this is a quite literal use of the word. You very often get to a point where he's not really trying to do anything evil, but he's just so wrapped up in needing to feed his own ego that he's not willing to take responsibility for his actions. Like, he just can't look in a mirror and realize he's the problem. And he specifically can't see he's the problem because he's so desperately trying to maintain his own mental image of himself. The image of a competent and helpful man, and the moment that fails for him, he feels so much cognitive dissonance that he'll deflect fault onto someone else. Well, it can't be my fault because I am a competent man. If something went wrong, it had to be the fault of someone else, probably Naomi, since she's not a man and also poor and also dumb. Some of these episodes are crazy. Or maybe I'm just projecting a little bit. Maybe both. Like, this show feels like positive propaganda, unlike Paw Patrol. Like how reading a book as a kid doesn't really teach your kids how to read. It teaches them how to connect with another person through a common interest. It stimulates their imagination while also normalizing reading and learning. When you take a second to look at what they're showing you and not just what they're telling you, you find that there's lessons beneath the lessons. Did I just describe media literacy? Is that all I did? I don't think I actually described anything unique or profound.
And this is what we get for following her.
You were the one who let the first Duende out, you ignored Naomi at the park, and you sprung the trap too early.
I guess you were never royally trained in listening.
They have an episode where all these rulers do whatever this one king says just because he has so much money and he can get away with it by being a massive jerk, just because everyone around him wants a piece of his pie.
That's what I thought until he gave me a private island. That's what you get when you follow King Hector's lead.
Which can easily be connected to the super rich refusing to actually help out people since they're so wrapped up in their social circles and feeding off each other, they forget what's actually important. Like, no wonder this show is so highly regarded. Season 1 is frankly impressive with what they're teaching. Elena being the person who was able to break from the cyclical mindset because she's young and is still actively affected by the disparities these people create. Like, if you ask an adult if schools should be invested in, they might argue no, when you should really be asking children if schools should be invested in because they experience the problems on a day-to-day basis. And Elena understands this concept to a T. Hey, remember that fancy scepter? Yeah, it's magic. We're now tying in the fact that Elena, who was soaking in magic juice while in the amulet, is giving her magic powers, and allowing her to utilize ancient magical artifacts that people didn't know was magical.
But the kingdom of Meru was here long before Avalor, and those Meruvians made a bunch of magical objects.
Really?
Mateo says that it used to be called the Scepter of Light, able to control the seen and unseen with words turned to spells. And just like a good magic system, there's a cost to using the spells. Using too much scepter magic makes you weak and tired. Which explains why spiritual and magic creatures are so prevalent in this show, since the scepter's magic is directly tied to spiritual magic, sending them back to the spirit world. One thing I can't decide how I feel on this show is how they incorporate the history and cultural traditions, specifically of Hispanic cultures, because they have Navidad, Dia de los Muertos, And they're even adding that one, Aztec sport where if you win, you're sacrificed Kalima style to the gods. And it's not usually a massive aspect to the story. It's like there's an episode that features it and then it's forgotten, which I'm glad they're incorporating it, but it feels like it's there, but separate, which is my problem with it. It doesn't feel like it's just like a normal thing that they talk or interact with on a daily basis. It's like, oh yeah, it's time to have that one episode where we have that one part of our culture when it should be just like an ever-present part of their life. I mean, it's not bad since the setting and food and all those other parts of culture are intertwined into everything they do, but it feels like there's that last 10% that they just aren't reaching. They do the tried and true smart choice of having an episode dedicated to each character. First, Mateo and his imposter syndrome, Naomi dealing with toxic masculinity, now Gabe dealing with a dad he can never seem to make happy. And here I thought Gabe was just some jock that was going to be shoehorned love interest. He's actually a character? I am shocked. I threw him under the bus before I could even see his face.
I don't want to quit. I like being a royal guard.
You like Olaball better.
You like Olaball better. I joined the team for you, Papa. But I love guarding the kingdom. That's who I am.
And then his dad didn't hear a word Gabe said and continues to insist that he's right and Gabe is wrong, just like a good dad. The Jacquins have their own place in society rather than just being a magical talking animal. They're actually supposed to be defenders of the kingdom, slowly building up the lore of their society. That makes it feel more like a real world. The longer the show goes on, the more it feels like a well-written show that's just checking all the boxes. Now, Skylar, the one with blue dots, is becoming an actual character. They introduced him in a manner to where he can just be comedy relief or be a part of the main crew, and so far, he's mostly just been used as transportation since he can fly. He's been very underwhelming.
It's about time you knew the truth about your dear cousin Esteban. He made a secret deal with Shuriki to help her invade Avalor. He betrayed your family.
Oh, we're doing this now? Oh, okay then.
I know Victor was just lying to distract us.
But I do feel bad for serving Shuriki all those years.
You had no choice.
And we're done. Wow, is that really the end of this story arc? Okay. If you're on shrooms right now, you either want to look away or pay attention because we're gonna see the spirit world and it's nothing but colors and a big tree that is the entirety of the spirit world. I can already tell they looked up blacklight tapestries on Amazon for inspiration for this episode. I hope you guys aren't experiencing ego death right now, or maybe I do hope so. People use this stuff for different reasons. That being said, this is actually a great time to point out that a good indicator of a show's production value is actually the backgrounds. Every setting that you see has to be created, which costs time and money. If you notice, Sophia the First budget slowly increased after season 1. Season 1 reused a lot of the same settings. Season 1 of Elena has a lot of different settings, which only tells me that Disney threw a lot of money at this from the get-go. The tail end of season 1 starts really focus on going to different realms. The Jacquins get another moment where Elena goes to their realm to vouch for Skylar's brother, and I appreciate how everything here is really just mishmashed animals like the Jacquins and brightly colored patterns. It's giving Avatar Spirit Realm vibes. You can really tell they're trying to add just a smidge of visual inspiration to everything new that they're doing. And the settings just keep getting more full, lush, and visually gorgeous that it really makes this show a gem among Disney Channel shows. And here's the king of Jacquins, Skylar's dad.
Ah, welcome to Viastrea, princess.
Oh, thank you.
Now you must go.
The Jacquin, specifically the king, is very stern when it comes to rules, and the reasoning isn't just because of him being a jerk of a dad. It's because they're still the protectors of Avalor, and they want to make sure their duties are upheld. And they failed to defend Avalor from Shuriki, and that wound is still fresh in their minds. The fact that their personality traits have some reasoning to back it up is actually somewhat rare in kids shows. It's that layer of depth to the characters that makes them make sense. It's one of those things that you could easily chalk up to, yeah, well, they're just like that, because some people really are just like that. But it doesn't make for good writing, so I appreciate the extra effort. Both with the spirits and the Jacquins, Elena is forging bonds and making bridges between them so that them and the humans work together. A lot like the Avatar. Huh. Also, Elena can create illusions as she slowly learns to use her scepter.
I had a feeling it would. Something is coming for you, princess. A darkness rising out of the shadows. And if you do not pass this test, you will never be crowned Queen of Avalor.
You did well, Victor.
Thank you, Shoriki, my old friend.
Oh yeah, I forgot about her. We're putting the ILF back in GILF.
Come on, we'll all do it together.
Already a better premise than the Minecraft movie. Season 1 ends with a bunch of nothing important, actually. This show doesn't do the thing where the beginning and the end of the seasons have major story beats, no big twists, or anything that leads into the second season, which makes me believe that this show was greenlit multiple seasons in advance due to the success of Sophia the First, so they wrote the show with that in mind. I'm shocked at this show's quality. I was expecting it to be on par with Sophia the First, but this is better than most Disney Channel shows. If this keeps going, I might put this like on the same pedestal as like Tangled the series. Oh, how wrong I was. Shoriki is now operating in the shadows as Elena's primary enemy, but she doesn't have all her powers back, and her lackeys are doing her bidding until they bring her something that will allow her to fight Elena again. While trying to stop Shoriki's lackeys from finding more magical artifacts, Elena meets the ghost of a Maruvian.
You can see ghosts?
Yes, but only on Dia de los Muertos.
I was the last royal wizard of Maru, and it was I who made that scepter.
She defends the Jewel of Maru, the most powerful force against darkness, so powerful that it also banished the Maruvians, and so they need to seal away the jewel before it can be used for evil. Because it's just the beginning of the season, they successfully steal away the jewel. But we got some cool lore of the world's ancient people. It'd be nice if the villain could get a few wins to tease the audience, but you know, this isn't bad either. During a festival when everyone is distracted, Shoriki and her lackeys actually manage to free the Malvago, break into the castle, and steal the royal jewel from the previous queen's crown. Now Shoriki has the power she needs to make a comeback. And this time, her wand is even cooler and shinier. And Fiyero the Malvago steals secret blank pages from Mateo's Codex Maru. And Elena destroys her wand. That didn't take long, really? Okay. Now we have another secret evil mission. Whatever these pages lead to should be powerful enough to defeat Elena and her scepter. This season heavily incorporates the Jacquins. We're basically completely ignoring the spirits, Chanul, Spirit World, etc. We're basically exclusively talking about Jacquins and their culture now that Shoriki is back and they need the Jacquins' help to track her down. We even get into stories of Elena transforming into a Jacquin to catch a traitor that's trying to overthrow the leader of the Protectors. I mean, I guess it'd be weird if they made all those assets and never use them again, and another villain on top of Shoriki will keep things spicy. Also, Elena figures out the blank pages were hidden. Turns out there's a mirror scepter of the Scepter of Light, the Scepter of Night.
That's it. The rest of the page was ripped out.
That's why Fiyero stole the pages.
My grandfather discovered the secret chapter in the Codex, but wanted to make sure the Scepter of Night didn't fall into the wrong hands.
The season now focuses on solving the riddles left by Alcazar to find the 3 pieces of the Scepter of Night before Shoriki can. Mateo being incredibly obsessive about finding the scepter to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. It's giving Uncharted Tomb Raider vibes, and as someone who loved those games, I am all for this. Elena is going through her own little character arc, having flashbacks of when Shoriki basically ruined her life, and is now horrified at the idea of that happening again, making her decisions rash and pushing herself to the limit, which also leaves her friends in danger, so the villains take the opportunity to prey on Elena's weaknesses in order to weaken them enough to get all of the pieces of the Scepter of Night.
I get why you're so mad. If you don't let go of your past, you can really mess up your future.
Listen, this advice is great, and I try to apply it in everyday life that I live, however many of those days I have. But you know what annoys me to no end? Every time I think of this advice, every time I do, I hear Kylo Ren screaming in my mind, "No, you're still holding on! Let go!" With that being said, if you've made it this far in the video, let me know in the comments below, Chef Boyardee or SpaghettiOs. There is a correct answer. Their only hope now is for Elena to learn and master the powers of her own scepter to wizard dual Shiriki. Training montage! You know, where is Sophia? We know they both exist in the same world, and now we're redoing a similar story with sirens that we did in Sophia the First with mermaids, but now we're doing it with Elena. I would have figured we would see some more overlap since them coexisting is canon, but they treat them like they're two different worlds. It's a little weird. We thought we'd be running right toward the big cool battle, but nope. We're going to spend the rest of the season intermixing Shiriki trying to get Elena alone and take her out the easy way, and Elena is going to slowly get stronger over the course of time until she's ready to go toe-to-toe with Shiriki. Thankfully, we have new water friends to help with this ordeal. Nothing is easier to unite the people than a common enemy. I guess you could say we're really rocking the boat with this new alliance. What's actually shocking about this development is that they actually managed to defeat Fiyero again, turning him to stone for a second time. But given that Shiriki freed him before, who knows how long this is gonna last. Probably the rest of the series, actually. Finally getting the upper hand, Elena blasts Shiriki, sealing her up inside her scepter's orb. Cruz, her Jacqueline, takes it away, who isn't important for very long. Don't worry about him. Did I mention Shiriki never comes back? Then that's the end of Shiriki. That's it. That's all of it. Yeah, Shiriki's now out of the show. She's not the big bad guy, apparently. I know. I'm upset as well. Now we completely pivot focus on the treaty between the Sirenas and humans, and how there's political tension from years of conflict and an attempt to sabotage the treaty. This is all so sudden and strange. Is this really the end of Shiriki? Why are we focusing on this now? Don't forgetting about the shape-shifting evil dolphins. At least we're portraying dolphins accurately. I don't know who their PR manager is for dolphins, but they managed to make some awful creatures seem adorable and sweet, which gets resolved almost immediately because dolphins don't like loud sounds, and then the treaty gets signed and we're all good. Don't get me wrong. Great lesson about change only being made by both parties willing to bury the past and look toward a better future. It just feels wedged in awkwardly into the season. They have so many episodes around Dia de los Muertos, because that's the only day Elena can see ghosts, like other ghosts that we've canonically gone forward maybe 3 or 4 years over the course of a season and a half because of how many episodes around Dia de los Muertos we've had, which it doesn't really, make anything paced strangely, but knowing how many years have passed, Elena should be closer to 20 years old now, but she hasn't changed at all.
What, attack her?
We turn ourselves in. Ask for forgiveness. Tell her we've changed.
I can think of so many characters this would work on. Like, just so many. Now the lackeys are going through their own thing. It turns out this girl has a deadbeat mom that vanished to be an evil wizard, and they're pretending to get along for their child. And they not even going to try and bring Shiriki back? Was that really how they finished her off? We're just dissolving all the villains now. The direction is so weird for season 2. We don't have the villain anymore. So what's even the point of watching the show?
Why are you punishing me?
Because I didn't get to see my little girl grow up. You took that from me.
This is a new level of stupid. It's not like it's his fault she grew up. This feels so forced.
You could have come home anytime.
They spoke of the great test you must pass to become the Queen of Avalor. Facing Shiriki was not your big test.
These astral spirits really don't like specificity, do they? Season 2 ends with the new villains trapping Elena, Mateo, and Esteban.
I am Ash.
Hi, Mama.
And my wife.
Naomi gets the prisoners free. Victor is captured. Elena gets all her amulet magic sucked out of her and into the Orb of Chaos, but Mateo destroys it before it can suck it all up, and then they all stop the evil Malvago lackeys, except for Ash and her daughter who escape, and that's the end of season 2. Can we have Shiriki back? Can we have an actual villain back?
Ash. She's the most powerful wizard I've ever seen.
Is she really? Have we seen proof of that? Season 2 feels weird, and I'm not entirely sure if this is what the writers wanted or if this was a move that they had to make against their will. Or maybe they're leading up to some big grand finale, maybe, please, hopefully, that isn't, gonna disappoint me a lot. Ash. is not an impressive or compelling character. The entire villain group is slowly being captured and falling apart. I get how that would normally go if this was a realistic setting, but it's not a realistic setting. It's a story, and I want, you know, something to pack a punch. I wanted a big final standoff with all the villains in one big, you know, we're gonna win this one in one big swoop because it's satisfying, and that's why everyone does it, because the alternative is boring, and that doesn't make for a good show. It feels like the villains are just scrambling to do something villainous, and the good guys are winning because the villains are bad at being bad. I'm crossing my fingers that this is just an awkward middle phase for what we will no doubt have a big payoff in season 3. I'm also wondering if they're like the transition from Disney Channel to Disney Junior. This show went from Disney Channel to Disney Junior. Why is that? Is that a reason why, like, did it lose budget because of that? And they already like walked in with like a massive budget? Or was it, I don't know how the contract works. I don't know how this sort of thing works.
You guys are always going off on adventures without me. I want to be on the team.
Great, this is just what Isabel's character needs. And not at all what the show needs. We don't need more heroes. Ash is now working on making her daughter a proper Malvago, bringing her to Ash's evil master, and they're trying to get tamburitas so that they can do their evil plans, whatever plan that may be. It'd be nice if we felt like the villains had direction, but I can wait, I guess.
What's Takaina?
Takaina, the source of all Maruvian magic.
I really hope this is actually where the show goes and not just one episode. They keep referencing the Maruvians and have done nothing with them. I'm legitimately interested in ancient lost civilization tropes. I feel like I'm being teased in a bad way. You know what this group was missing? The obnoxiously smart character that fixes everything with thinking and math instead of really doing that much. Now, even though I hate this in this trope, Isabel is the least offensive version of this trope. They actually instill like actual math and physics on what she's doing, and since she's a kid, it makes sense that she doesn't have the same physical prowess as everyone else. I would still prefer this to not happen, and it kind of doesn't happen because she's only relevant in like 2 episodes after this. Elena finally gets her scepter back. Carla tries to save her father on her own and gets locked up. Now Ash is on her own. Ash finds Takaina. Elena has her staff so she can scry on her and knows where she is. And they pretty easily defeat and capture her. She feels less like a princess with a grand destiny and more like a police officer capturing villains. Also, Elena falls into a magic well and is supercharged with magic even more, and she can bounce spells back. It's like Link versus Ganon. Now she has uncontrollable magic that can make things into sentient and marketable llama creatures and destroy astrological models when she's being teased. Basically, any word that she says has a magic spell behind it, and she doesn't even need her scepter. It's like she is the scepter now.
Your emotions are making magic.
Ah, so she's a magic mood ring now.
I'm sorry. It is all a blur.
Where was Esteban when my parents were working on the float that day?
No! Yes, and then we can rule Avalor together, Shuriki.
I thought we knew this. I thought we cleared the air about this a while ago. Is this really that surprising? Did you somehow not connect the dots that were right in front of you? What?
You betrayed us.
No, but let me explain.
Yeah, he made that pretty clear before. Now, you see, the misogynistic comments about how women shouldn't be in positions of power because they're quote-unquote too emotional would definitely apply to a teenager whose magic is directly tied to her emotions.
So I propose that this council sentence you to exile. You will be expelled from Avalor and sent far away to live out your days in isolation on Soledad Island.
Anyway, Esteban breaks out of prison and escapes.
Let us out of here, and I can give you the kind of power that would never put you at your family's mercy again.
Or you can take your chances on that deserted island.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Esteban. Aw, man. Okay, I don't care about Esteban getting a redemption. He deserves to rot on a deserted island. You're just an idiot at this point. They successfully escape, and the dad is trying to tell Ash that they want to be a family and evil plans are kind of stupid now, so she turns him to stone, and Carla is upset and refuses to go with her mom because she's like actually evil. Esteban, on the other hand, goes with Ash because what else is he gonna do? Are we just gonna redo the plot of the movie where Esteban betrays Ash like she did, like how Esteban betrayed Shiriki? And then that's it? And they're just gonna accept the reformation of Esteban when it's literally just like the exact same thing that happened previously that got us to accept him for, you know, that got us to accept him in the first place? I don't see a good way for a redemption for Esteban that will make sense and be satisfying to the audience. Ash goes back to the well, but Elena's emotion powers keeps them from getting that magic juice, and then she accidentally drops Esteban in the well. Now, you see, this would be awesome if they were trying to make him a compelling villain. Ash, on the other hand, just can't catch a break. Elena seals the entrance to the well, but Esteban can teleport, so does this actually help anyone? Now we're focusing on Elena going through all the complicated emotions of betrayal, coupled with basically having the magic of a god. Like, she can dream things and bring them to life if she feels strong enough. She has no control over any of this, but in the end, she makes the decision that Esteban is a little bitch boy, and he's no longer family.
As far as I'm concerned, you are no longer familia.
All you need to know is I am ready to put the past behind me.
Let go! Good, yes, excellent villain arcs for people that were pretty much already villains. Just make him a real villain, make him a real honest villain, come on. Listen, I'm very torn on the whole emotion powers thing. Like, we taught people, kids, how to communicate our emotions. And when we communicate them, we are more akin to getting them under control and having power over them. Very important lesson, a very important lesson that more adults need to learn. That being, mostly very angry and temperamental guys, there's a few of you I've encountered. Some of you need therapy. And like, that was the entire reason Elena told Esteban that she felt betrayed and hurt by him and everything he did. She was able to process her emotions in a very healthy way in order to get control over them, instead of shoving them down and ignoring them and brooding like a childish dark knight who thinks that not feeling emotions is the same as controlling them. Don't get me wrong, great lesson. What are we gonna do about the godlike powers that she currently has? Did you guys think of that? Are we gonna touch on that a little bit more? I'm guessing, I'm hypothesizing, hoping even, that this is leading toward Esteban and Elena both having emotion-based powers, but because Elena, you know, processed her emotions while Esteban is ignoring them, she's going to win because she has more control over her powers and Esteban just loses control. That would be an ending I wouldn't be too upset with. It feels like a little bit of a cop-out and not at all tied to anything that's been happening in this series whatsoever thus far, but you know, I'll take it if I have to. The direction of this show feels like how the villains have been acting this entire time. It feels like the writers have been scrambling for something good. In other news, we have solid evidence that time is actually advancing. Skylar's little baby brother grew up, the green one there. Also, everyone else, and I mean like literally everyone else, stayed the same.
What you really need right now is a master wizard. Avalor used to have one. My grandfather.
He's inside that magical book, remember?
Oh, so you guys finally remembered that this is technically a spin-off. I've been waiting for you to reference Sophia the First forever now. Why didn't you guys think of this forever ago? The book just gets shipped to them, like immediately. Overseas. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. And now Alakazar is here.
What's happening to your book?
The spell I cast to transform myself into a book was not powerful enough to last forever.
Oh, come on! It's okay, they do some magic stuff and bring Alakazar back to human form. And then they get ambushed. Alakazar uses his body to defend Elena. Elena gets her scepter stolen and they run away. What's the point of having a master wizard if he's an idiot that won't use magic? Are you serious? He's dying? We wasted this whole episode for nothing? The moment you give me hope, you squash it while laughing at my pain. And then Elena gets the scepter back. Do you feel like your time was wasted? I feel like my time was wasted. Nothing progressed, nothing at all. We just got the feeling of progression for like a moment. Okay, there's a bunch of new random information. There's this mysterious, powerful, Maruvian winged person that was locked up and is now not locked up and just so happens to be someone that Ash is looking for, and she'll help them. them. Somehow, Naomi has an old childhood friend and they open a time capsule and Naomi feels bad because her only dream was to own and captain a ship. And that hasn't happened. All the while her friend is doing everything she ever wanted. Ash finds Winged Power Girl, and Ash also apparently has the Winged Girl's special fancy headgear that will make Winged Girl super powerful, so now they team up. Naomi decides to leave the team because she's actually pursuing her old dreams. I don't see why she couldn't do this after they stop Ash, but okay, I guess.
Explore the world, blaze my own trail. And now that I'm grown up, I still want all that.
Hanukkah was mentioned. Not important, but I really like to see Hanukkah mentioned because I don't see it that often in cartoons, so I think it's neat. Listen, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but like, were they hoping for a Jewish spin-off series? Like the first Jewish Disney princess? Is that what they were going for? Genuine question, this is not a joke. I feel like this was just kind of dropped in here, but I guess we have learned about other cultures. I thought it was all adjacent Latin cultures. I thought that was the point. Is Judaism a Latin? I don't think that's a Latin culture. I'm very ignorant on this stuff, first of all, but like, I don't think I'm that dumb. Naomi isn't actually out of the show. She's just separate for now, and they miss each other. That's basically all this is. They sure are good friends. Surprise, she's back. Seriously? Wow, she was gone for like a total of 3 episodes.
I just found out Ash and Esteban have teamed up with a sorceress and this weird magic bat.
I think that's Chitana. Hey, thanks for catching my scepter.
Never underestimate the power of the lasso.
I know that look. That's the look of very good friends and nothing more. This is still a Disney show.
What you doing here all alone?
Oh, you know, just looking at all the letters I never sent about how much I missed you.
It wasn't much of an adventure without you. I didn't realize how much I missed being part of a team.
Or maybe you just missed your friend. You know, the friend that you have that's a girl. Yeah, what do they call those again? Hang on. If Ash can have an ancient Maruvian sorceress, then Elena can use her prisoners to get her own ancient Maruvian warrior. Balance the scales, I guess. Neither of these characters are going to be important, by the way. This show has a couple serious problems. First is the character bloat. If we stuck to really just focusing on the character arcs of the main 4, then we could cover them easily and have them all decently compelling. But we instead have half-baked stories that supplement character arcs for the side characters, and rushed character arcs for Elena that don't last long and don't really have any impact. Not just that, but we're now adding characters with their own character arcs that don't pack any impact for the villains, and then we're adding more characters on top of them to create some sense of a climactic buildup that really just adds to the character bloat. Is the stories that they bring good, or at least okay? Yeah, but I can't help but feel like they could just be better if we had more focus on a smaller amount of characters with longer build-ups. The show started so strong and is just slowly dwindling down in quality.
Which is why the Grand Council has agreed to your exile on Soledad Island.
No, we want to stay here and help you defend Avalor.
Wow, funny enough, these two have a better character arc than most characters in the entire show. And frankly, that's really sad because I still don't really care about them. Look at all these characters! And these are just the good guys. Oh my goodness. And there needs to be a voice actor for each of them. How big was the budget, guys? We have a whole episode where they do flashbacks to when everyone used to be kids, and of course Esteban is there because he moved in with them when his parents were lost at sea, and Elena remembers how well they used to get along and how they were basically like siblings, tugging at Elena's heartstrings. And what is supposed to be our heartstrings, which would be a great way to prime Elena and us for a possible redemption for Esteban and a change of heart for Elena about Esteban so that she can forgive him, because Disney is great at setting up villain arcs but can never actually deliver on them.
When we found out Esteban betrayed us, he said he never felt like a part of the family. But just look at these memories. It's me, Princess Elena.
Who? There's no princess in Avalor. Elena doesn't even sound like a princess name. Now, Sophia, that's a princess name.
It also sounds like a better show. There's only 2 episodes left in the series, and instead of focusing on that whole, plot that they were developing, they do a hallucination what-if episode. What if Elena was never a princess and she could, see how her life would be and appreciate it? Which means we're going to bum rush the finale in 1 episode. Let's pucker our butts for disappointment, everyone. Ash opens up some ancient underwater thing, and a big magic stuff happens, and now there's the Maruvian equivalent of legendary Pokemon released into the world. And the Lightning Warrior is proving to be very helpful. All the while, Elena and Ash fell into the big magic thing underwater, and now they're trapped together.
I'm in the spirit world?
The dark side of it, but yeah.
So they need to talk to this Maka in order to get back to the real world, and he's a party animal, so he doesn't want to. Tapu Koko over here starts causing chaos, and the supporting cast needs to figure that out. All the while, Elena is doing a sports competition, and whoever wins gets to go home.
Papa! Are you okay?
I'm fine, Elena.
Don't worry, he can't get more dead.
I was not a perfect ruler. Like the time I prevented Shuriki from invading our allies.
Your father didn't consider that she would then turn her sights on Avalor.
Esteban tried to warn me. I didn't believe him, so he sided with Shuriki.
You've had like 5 Dia de los Muertos to talk about this, and you're only telling her now. That still doesn't make what he did okay. He still sided with the enemy that took over your kingdom. How does this change anything?
Years ago, when I told my parents not to go on that voyage, they did not listen. When I warned King Raul about Shuriki, he did not listen. And when I told Elena I had changed, she did not listen. But if I were king, I'd finally have the power I deserve.
You will forever be the villain who stole the crown.
But you should be. A tragic villain, I'll give you that. But you should be a villain. Did you even really change all that much? I'm glad to know you didn't spend the budget on hookers and blow, because you're blowing it on this show. Ash is staying in the spirit world. Elena is going back to save the day. Callbacks to the previous episodes are riddled throughout this finale, and they manage to get some of those new bad guys out of the picture, and some of the good guys are in a picture. Oh no, Elena is about to be defeated. I guess now's a great time for Esteban to prove he's changed. Yep, there he goes. Convenient godlike emotion powers fixes everything.
Forgiveness. It's more powerful than anything I felt.
I'm upset that this was painfully obvious and still not satisfying, but that is a very sweet and poignant thing there. Yeah, okay, I'll admit that. So the messages of needing to forgive the past in order to move on to the future is very well delivered in this finale, I'll admit. The message they've been building up this entire time is a great one, and at the very least, they did a good job on that. Together they teleport bad juju lady away and everything is fixed. I don't know what that winged girl or Maruvian lightning warrior was for. They amounted to literally nothing. Esteban got a retribution story that still isn't as good as Cedric. They loved withholding the whole truth until the very end because they thought it would make it more compelling and add more tension when it was really just a nuisance. Elena is queen now, and the real magic is that no one in Avalor actually ages, apparently, because she still looks the way she did when she was 15. Happy ending, I guess.
You came! How could we miss it? We queens have to stick together.
What happened to you guys? You look like you guys belong in Roblox.
Naomi, there's something I need to know right now. Will you be my chancellor?
Is that code for girlfriend? Oh, they'd be near each other all the time. Oh my goodness, she's smart. She's working around the system.
A true master wizard.
So, about that dance.
Isa.
Mateo, take a hint. She has a new chancellor now. I am disappointed. And I'm sorry for all the fans of Elena of Avalor. It felt like there was maybe 4 plans all happening at the same time. They couldn't decide on which one, so they just said, screw it, we'll do all of them. It was like a hodgepodge mess that wasted a lot of time. This could have easily been like 1.5 seasons, maybe 2. We could have caught out a whole season. I guess it didn't stumble and trip across the finish line, you know? All things considered, when you need to finish a show or a story of any sort, any story, what is better is getting across the finish line and not tripping And that's better than never finishing the race whatsoever. If only Patrick Rothfuss would listen to that advice. If only George R.R. Martin would listen to that advice. Finish your stories. Finish your fucking stories. I am very happy it got a proper ending. I feel like it was just done wrong. I feel like there's quite a few different ways we could have done this, and all of them would have been better. If you loved this show, I'm sorry for bashing it so much. I, as a neutral third party, have to give my honest opinion. It hurts seeing something start so good. And don't get me wrong, guys, it started really good. This show had so much potential, and it just devolved. And the weirdest thing is, it didn't even have like an Owl House situation where it was just cut partway through, unless it did, and I can't find information that says it was canceled partway through, because I don't think there's a lot of coverage around this stuff because it wasn't like the massive pop culture hit that the Owl House was, which, you know, sometimes we get news of things that the masses are interested in, and a whole bunch of other stuff is going on for a bunch of things that just don't have as many eyeballs on it. That being a lot of things happening in behind the scenes in Hollywood. A lot of the illegal stuff, because we just didn't know and didn't care until the big news broke out, and then we did. And now we care a lot, and now we get a lot of stories about that. I'm going off track. Anyway, so it was all in all good. Overall, Elena of Avalor is good, except for some of the in-between bits. I loved the concept too. I really liked it. I think a big part of what made Sophia the First more heartwarming than Elena was that Sophia's foundation was being part of a family that was once divorced and now is together, a mixed family. Elena's foundation is she is the Latina princess, and we're going to have more Latina inspiration or Latin inspiration in our show, which is also good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have the same heart. With Sophia the First, her situation is something that can be experienced in any culture, all the while Elena's culture is not something that can be experienced by everyone. We're gonna be awesome, and we're just gonna show everyone how awesome this culture is, and our magical world that we made for it based off of that culture, and for some reason it just sort of fell apart. Coco was better. Coco was better. I'm gonna leave it at that. It needed a focus. Sophia had a focus. Elena lost its focus when Shiriki just vanished randomly. Why? Did you take away my gilf? Why? She was hot. I'm just gonna be horny on Maine. Why'd you get rid of her? Ash ain't bad too, but come on, guys. Anyway, that's everything I have for this video. Thank you again to our sponsor, Fume, for sponsoring this video. Go check the link in the description below or scan the QR code. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful and keep playing.